Hello everyone, I welcome you all to lecture 2 on functions in Python programming. Indeed, we have seen basic details about the functions in lecture 1. In the sense, we have seen what is a user defined function, what is a library function, and how to define a user defined function, and how to invoke a user defined function, and how the user defined function can return a value to the calling function we have seen. Let us see further more details, that is function arguments, scope and lifetime of a variable as part of the lecture 2. So what is function arguments? Means the variable values that you supply in the function call, normally we treat as function arguments. So there are different ways in which you can pass the arguments in the function call. So the order of the arguments, number of arguments, and the type of arguments plays an important role in linking the definition of the corresponding function call. So in Python programming, we least bother about the type of the parameter, but order and number of parameters really matters. The programmer has to very particular about the number and order of the parameters, whereas these three parameters in other programming languages normally used to resolve the function overloading concept also, like C, C++, Java. The order, number, and type of the parameters will really play an important role. So in Python programming, the arguments are little flexible, so where you can able to define a function that can receive different types of arguments, in the sense it can also defined to receive n number of arguments. Even if you are not sure about the number of arguments that you are passing in the function call, you can define a function that can receive n number of parameters. So we have different ways to pass the parameters. We will see all these types in the next slide. So positional arguments, keyword arguments, default arguments, variable length arguments, keyword variable length arguments. So positional arguments, these are like the arguments that we use in other programming languages. So these are simply all about the order. Based on the order of the parameters that you use in the function call, the corresponding variables will be assigned values in the function definition. So the keyword arguments are not supported in other programming languages, where these are evaluated based on the names of the variables. So the corresponding names will be used in the function definition, so that in the keyword arguments, the order doesn't matters. Order is not matters, but name of the variable matters. The default arguments, you can define a function in the Python, where in the function definition also you can assign values to the variables, values to arguments. Whereas variable length arguments, you can define a function in the Python that can accept any number of arguments, as a tuple. So whereas keyword variable length arguments also will accept any number of arguments, the only difference is as dictionary. So in case of variable length arguments, user don't have any freedom to update once they update the values that are received in the function definition, because a tuple doesn't allows the updations on the sequence of values. Whereas in the keyword variable length arguments, you have the privilege to update the keys in the dictionary. You can update the value of the variable using the key, that is allowed. So let us see one after another. So positional arguments, let me close my video so that the text will be clear. All right. So positional arguments, these are the arguments passed to a function in the order they are defined. They are matched based on their positions. You can see the power function is defined here. You can see the power function here. So where the positions matters, the first position value will be given to the first variable that is defined in the function. The second value in the function call will be given to the second variable in the function. But however, the programmer has to be take care. You cannot supply more number of arguments which are not defined in the function definition. This will this will lead to an error. I was telling you the keyword arguments. You can see where the in fact in the keyword arguments the order of the arguments doesn't matter because it is purely based on the mapping is done. It is based on the parameter names. They allow you to specify the parameter values in any order. So let us see, go and see a simple example so that you can understand it very clearly. All right. So let me write it. So I want to define a simple function. Let us try to define. So just display function I want to define. So we'll assign say some name comma age. I want to print the name of the employee and his age. So just print hello employee name, and you say just you are it comma age, right? So let me call the function. How do you call? Just simply use the function name, and I want to assign the values in the different orders. So it can be say 65, and the name, let me assign the name as some Lokesh. So let me save it and we will run it. Let's see what happens. So hello Lokesh, you are at 65. You can see the difference. So what is happening here is age is the order of the age is the first argument in the calling function, but whereas in the definition age is the second parameters. So but this is the mapping is happening only based on the parameter names. So this is the special feature of the Python. So and also you can define any number of arguments. I was telling you simply you can have a default values also. For example, see I have name comma age. So and see hello Lokesh, your age is like this, and say let me you are from which city I want to give. So for example, say see I want to give Hyderabad. So but what is happening is I am just passing two parameters here, but see definition has three parameters. But this will take, what happens is when the function is invoked, so two parameters based on the parameter names will be assigned, but the third parameter, because as we are not giving in the function call, by default it will be taking from the function definition. Let me work out it. So age is you are at age and you are from, see you are from, I will say let it be city. Okay, so let me run it. Yes, hello Lokesh, you are at 65 and you are from Hyderabad. So that way default parameters can be assigned. So if it is variable length parameters I was mentioning earlier, so you can just take a variable say name, but it has to be prefixed with a star symbol. So it can receive any number of arguments. That is the beauty of variable length arguments. You can see, but the point is when you invoke a function call, make sure you will supply a sequence of values. Say I want to supply 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4 comma 5, or say I want to assign, because I'm not sure in advance how many parameters I will be passing on. So in such case, better you can use this variable length arguments where the parameter name is prefixed with star, but only the point is it will be considers this list as a tuple. So you can just print the sum of the list values. How do you do that? So indexing is simply name of 0. So plus, okay, let me copy it. And then plus, then plus. So many we have, 5 values we have. You can use 4 also, not an issue. So I will only sum up only up to 4 values. Indexing can be randomly, you can do it, could be 1 or 2, not an issue. As you know, you by this time you might have learned already tuples. So write 2 and then 3. Right, let me save it and let us see what happens. Can I able to print this? Let me close the print and let us see what happens. Yeah, so the sum of these values are 10 actually. So 1 plus, so what I'm doing, I'm just adding the first 4 numbers. So but the problem is with this kind of implementation, you cannot update. If you try to update any name of 0, it's not possible. Why? Because as you know, the property of the tuple is a immutable, so you cannot update these values, right? So you cannot do that. It's not possible. If you say what interpreter will tell you that yeah, you cannot do like this, it's impossible, right? So if you really want to update the values inside the function, so how do you do that? This could be variable keyword variable length. So the variable has to be prefixed with the 2 stars, but only thing is that but this will be taken as a dictionary. So if it is dictionary, yeah, dictionary will be stored in the form of key value pair. So I will assign with the key and the value, right? Then you can see, let me assign c is equal to 3. So let us see, I want to assign 3 values, but you have to index them with the keys. So it says key is a string here. Okay, so that's why I'm assigning in the single quotes. So that is B. Of course, values are integers. You can see. So only I have 3 values. So let me finish it up to 3. So remove this value. So based on the key values, I want to print their sum. But what you can do is you can update, even not an issue. If you want to update the first one, yeah, you can update. You can see, yeah. And if it is updated or not, if you want to really access that, you can also access. How do you do that? So that is name of, see, yeah, got it. So let me see, we'll work out on it, whether it is really the sum is yes, something error is there. I'm not editing video because you also will know how to remove the errors. So yeah, sum is 6 and it is updated to 11. A of 1 is updated to 11. You can see. So it is been, in fact, it is 1 and it is added with 10. So these are the different ways how the function arguments will work in Python, slightly different than other programming languages. So user has to be a little cautious about these things. So let me go back and we will cover the what next is to be covered is, however, yeah, always the number of parameters should be matched in the function call and function definition, except the default arguments are used, right? So these are the keyword variable length arguments. You can see on screen. These are the variable length arguments where the variable is prefixed with the star. And of course, apart from that variable length arguments, you can also have the positional arguments and also default arguments, not an issue. And let me talk about the scope and lifetime of a variable. So what is scope actually? So where are the variables actually? So variables are inside part and parcel of the program. So if you write a big program, possibly you will take the variables, you will use the functions, means blocks. See, imagine that this is a F1, F1 may invoke F2, then F2 comes to here. So imagine this is F2 and F2 may invoke F3, and imagine this is F3. So that way you will be executing the functions. But how do you define the variable? Say, for example, say if I define a variable, say x is equal to 100, this is a global variable. And if I define some variable, say y, inside the F2, say 10, because it is inside the block, we say it is a local variable, right? Am I right? It is a local variable. So what about the scope and lifetime of these two variables? That was the point of concern. One has to be a bit careful about scope and lifetime. What is scope actually? The scope is what extent the value of the variable is known inside the program. So if you print here, is it okay? If you print x here, if you print x, is it okay? Yes, it is okay. If you print x here, is it okay? It is okay. So why it is okay means the variable is declared as a global variable. The global variable scope is in fact throughout the program until and unless the control comes out of the program. So if control comes out of the program, the whole memory, so if control comes to here, the whole memory is deleted. So then we will lose this scope of x. Whole memory is deleted. So what about the y actually? So can you print y anywhere else? No, it's not possible because y is local to the block, because the memory allocated for this y, if you look at the memory allocation scheme in functions, So how do we have the heap memory and also stack memory? Within the stack memory, the object reference will be stored, y will be stored here, and the actual value will be in the heap memory. So this is local, the whole memory is local to whom? This is purely local to F2. So the people inside the F2 only can access the value of the y. So the scope is very limited. If you come out of that memory is not known to anyone else in the program. So y is a local variable, its scope is limited. Okay, and what about the lifetime? So what about the lifetime of a variable? Lifetime defines how long the value of the variable will persist in the memory. So even the x value, when the control is executing F1, F2, F3, the value will be there in the memory. But whereas y, the moment you come out of this F3, the memory gets deleted. So lifetime also within the same block. So the moment the control comes out of that block, the whole memory of the variable also gets deleted. So the local variable scope and lifetime will be within that block in which they are defined, whereas global variables will have the scope and lifetime throughout the program. But however, related to the scope and lifetime, you can use the global keyword to access the global variable in the local function. You can see that. So here you can see the example, x is a global one, y is a local one. So of course, you can access x comma y here, being x is global variable. But whereas you are trying to access y variable, which is outside the function, and this is fortunately or unfortunately, this belongs to a function memory local to the my function. So obviously, the interpreter says, yes, it's not possible, because the who is y, it says simply, I don't know who is y. And you can see other case here, I have the global variable a and also local variable a. If you want to access the global variable inside this show function, so prior to the statement where you are accessing the global variable, you can use the global keyword that refers to the immediate next statement. If you use, it says that I want the global value of a, not the local value of the a. So this is the way how the variables will work out with respect to the user defined functions. So you can see the various references to actually dig into more about the scope and function arguments. Okay. So with that, I would like to conclude this session. I will meet you in the lecture 3. Okay, so that's it from my side. Thank you.